Well, Say Something with Cheré is finally back. I know you've been waiting. I've been getting all the text messages and all of the DMs. And today, I get to sit down with my good friend, DeMarlo West, to tell you why I had such a long hiatus and how Say Something with Cheré is being rebirthed. I'll see you on the stage.
Everybody's here now. We got something to talk about. Just have to see, yeah, we're gonna talk it out. Say something, that's what we're gonna do. What's going on? Tell me what's new. Say something. Say something,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Say Something with Cheré. I am your boy, DeMarlo West, and I just stopped by to say something about the rebirth of Say Something with Cheré. I'm so excited. Y'all help me welcome my girl, my sister, and the one and only Cheré. Turn around real quick. Man, you look incredible. This how you want to come back.
Thank you so much. You know how to do it.
I mean, from the shoes to the house to, you know, I see your gold accents. They got you together. Let me see these nails. Y'all look at it. Look at the nails. Look at the nails.
SWV.
Oh, God, no, they ain't even long enough. Sit down. We got to talk. We got to talk. How you been?
Amazing.
I can tell. Wow. We got a lot of questions. Of course, I got a lot of questions. You know how I roll.
Yes.
I'm going to ask the juicy stuff that everybody want to know.
I
So,
know.
Cheré, first and foremost, what's important to me is knowing what you've been up to.
Well,
What you've been doing.
Since the pandemic, the most important thing that I've done is get married. So
Wow, congratulations. Woo!
Yes.
Congratulations.
Put a ring on it. And
okay then.
so that just really has consumed me. I've had an amazing time. It's just been going on 2 years.
Wow.
So it's been great. And I've had a lot of fun with my husband and with empty nesters. So I've just been having a good time, enjoying me and enjoying him.
And then the pandemic also, you know, caused a lot of things, I think it promoted a lot of intimate time.
Absolutely.
You know, with people in general. And whether that time be invested into your relationship, you know, your craft, your gift, your skill set, whatever it is. And by the looks of it, you had time to invest in not only the marriage and not only yourself, but the gift of who you are.
Yes.
And so this speaking of the gift of who you are and all of that, because I got to say something, Cheré cue card. I got to say something, Cheré cue card. So I'm in control. See, whoever got the mic wins. Okay, so check this out. Right, I got it. So this is what I want to know.
Okay.
Cheré, what happened? Let's talk. What happened with Say Something with Cheré? Because you were doing your thing. You were on the road. But what I know for a fact is, without you saying anything, that there's a reason behind that. So I'm interested to know what happened.
Well, you know what? I'm not a virtual person. Like,
Got it.
I'm a host, and I
Yeah.
like the immediate response from the audience. I like to see them. I like to touch people. I
Sure.
like to hug people. I'm a people person, and so when we first got shut down or went into isolation, it was like a relief because I had been so busy, and I was like, I don't have to go to all these invites and everything. And then it became a matter of just being stuck. I couldn't pivot.
Right.
Everybody was pivoting to just going online and talking and speaking. I had already done that even when we weren't in isolation. So when it was time for us to I couldn't pivot. I kind of fell into a depression, I guess. I didn't even know what I wanted to do anymore. And then I saw everybody starting to do podcasts and I guess talk shows. And it was just like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I looked at acting and I just kind of focused back into the acting industry. And then that made me feel like I was begging for a job still. It was like, it was auditioning and it made me feel like I was tap dancing and saying, am I good enough, Mr. Do I got it? And whether I was good enough or not, it came down to my looks or the way I spoke or how tall I was. It wasn't even about my talent. And so that kind of got me in the dumps. While I did book 2 good roles during the pandemic, I still just felt like I was incomplete. So I just sat there. But every day I woke up thinking about Say Something with Cheré. Every night I thought about Say Something with Cheré. Throughout my day, I was like, what are you gonna do with Say Something with Cheré? And I just kept I had no accountability at the end of the day.
Okay.
If I think about it, I had nobody pushing me. I became you shouldn't be the biggest person in your circle, and I became that. So everybody was looking up to me instead of encouraging me and pushing me. It was like, Cherée's already there, but in my head, I wasn't there. And so I just kind of fell backwards to myself. I just fell back and stayed back.
Wow. That I think that is powerful. Do you feel as though that even in those moments though, that was a time actually that you were in hibernation?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I was in
For
hibernation.
one of many reasons, right?
Yeah.
You were in hibernation because as you begin to talk about it, it's almost like, yeah, it was like the insert of being not comfortable promoted what divine time has allowed.
Absolutely.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It gave me a chance to actually tap into what God gave me. I remember when I
Right.
first started Say Something and I was pitching it and people were saying like, oh, we need like a little Wendy Williams, like give us some trending topics. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's not what God gave me, right?
Right.
So my audience is for people who are doing great things and they may not have PR or a big social media following, but they're doing amazing things. And even some of them that are wealthy and don't have a huge social media following, but they're wealthy. And so I wanted to highlight those people. I wanted to say something about the things that we just have pushed aside.
Yeah.
I don't care about what no celebrity is going through, what they got going on. I don't care about it. It doesn't excite me, so I don't follow them. I want to say something about people who are doing things in the community or who are going through struggles at home with sickness and still getting up doing it every day. That's what I really want to talk about, injustices. And I really had kind of fell out of it. Because the more you grow, the more your network grows, you actually fall into it. This industry can literally pull you to the side before you
God.
know it.
Yes.
And you're stuck and you're following the trend. And so the pandemic really made me sit down. People kept saying, why don't you do this? Just start going live again. But it wasn't released in me yet. God hadn't really released me. And I dragged my feet and I took time and I thought that I missed it. I kept missing it. And I'm like, oh, I could have been here if I had started back. I could have been here. I said I was going to do this. I literally rebirthed Say Something back in 2019. I was looking at my notes and that's when I rebirthed it. I still couldn't move on it.
Wow.
And so then when I said, this time when I got up off my feet, and I think the aha moment for me was death. People just keep dying.
Yeah.
And I turned into a perfectionist. I'm like, oh, I already had a whole set. I had a crew of 20 people. Like, I can't just come back and do something simple, a podcast.
Right.
It was ego and pride had gotten in the way. God was no longer even involved in what I was trying to do. I was trying to do it. And so when God set me down, and then I was thinking, oh, I want these resources. I need this much money. And God said, you started to Say Something with nothing, no job, no money. And he began to tell me every day, if you move that foot, I'm going to move this foot. All you got to do is get started.
Right.
Like, and people would tell me, like, the resources are there. People were prophesying to me, just what God already told me. I'm going to meet you there, Cherée, just start.
Right.
And then one day I just got up and I called a friend. I said, I need accountability. And she said, I do too. And I was like, no, I need a real accountability partner. I know I'm very direct. I'm an aggressive personality. So people think, but I said, I need accountability. And we got on the call every Saturday. And I began to put the branding together. I got people in place. And today I'm rebirthing Say Something.
Wow. It is so important to follow, but more importantly, to be sensitive to the voice of God, especially for those that are creatives, especially for those that are gifted with the ability to create and to establish and fashion a certain thing in a certain time. And it's easy to get distracted about the noise of what people's recommendations are, what their suggestions are, what's popular, what's trending, this is what you need to do. And whereas I think that the advice is good and coming from a sound place, but it's just not in your assigned time.
Thank you.
At that time. And this is why it is so important to rely on, I'm glad you brought that up. It's good to rely on like the word and to rely on God, because he says, I will give you an understanding and a peace that surpasses all understanding. So even in your hibernation, God will give you stuff like keeping you what you think, you're tucked away, or I ain't doing nothing. Because it's easy to feel that way. I ain't doing nothing, I ain't producing, everybody else doing this. Oh, it looked like they got my idea. But what I learned is this right here. Carrots grow in the dark.
come on. And I feel like that's
Carrots grow
exactly-
on the ground. You
they
can't
do.
see that.
You can't see
And you don't see it until it's time for the birth. When you pluck it up, it's
Yeah,
a full-on
it's a
carrot,
full-
right? And when you apply heat to it, it activates the vitamins in
And
it.
You teaching
You
me.
see what I'm saying? So I use that as like a synopsis, if you will, of where how I have seen you grow in this and in the rebirth of it all. Now, you mentioned acting. Do you still desire to do that still?
I don't.
Not at
I
all.
don't desire, when I look back, my goal was always to be successful.
Got it.
I used to think that I could only be successful if I was an actress, if I was on that
Mm-hmm.
camera. But then the pandemic taught me there's so much inside of me. I went to meet a guy one day about, he wanted to be a branding manager. He was a Hispanic guy. He said, so what is it that you do? And I said, well, I'm an actress. He said, there's more to you than that. What is it that you do? And I said, well, I advocate for domestic violence. I'm a host. He said, okay, and what else is there about you? I'm a mother. He said, see, you're more than an actress. And from that day, I went home and I said, I am more than an actress. I am a speaker. I'm an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
To be successful, I don't have to be an actress. And I was boxing myself in. And so I wouldn't go out and speak, or I wouldn't go out and host. I wouldn't write a book because I said actors don't do that.
Right.
But the pandemic taught me when Hollywood shut down that acting is another job, just like a corporate America. They took my livelihood away. I couldn't audition, I couldn't act. But what I could do was create other streams of income for myself.
Yeah.
And from that moment, I knew that no, success for me is being that businesswoman, having that stream of income, owning my own time, and desiring what I want, going after what I want to do. So I don't have a desire to go dance in front of a camera and say, do you think I'm good enough? I have a
Right.
desire to write my own script. I have a
Absolutely.
desire to cast my own people, to produce my own shows, like Say Something with Cheré. And I have a desire to take people where I want to go, where they want to go, and encourage them. I don't want to ask anybody else, am I good enough?
Got it. That's growth. That's growth. It takes maturity and it takes experience
Yeah.
to get to that place of confidence of knowing that, no, I'm good on that. No matter what you throw my way, this is where I'm solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's now. I got another question because I got my stuff written down. I just want you to know that I'm not.
Well, let
I ain't
me
acting.
pin that because I also want to make a point that what scared me is Hollywood scared me also. The spirits that are tied up in Hollywood.
Yes.
And knowing that even just me being C-list celebrity here in Atlanta before the pandemic, I know how easy it is to fall into something, even when your foundation is stable, even when you're rooted and grounded and you know better,
Right.
you can easily get sucked up in that. And so I literally started seeing people change as a person and the eyes and Illuminatis and all of this stuff that's going on. But when you see it, the spirit is so rapid in Hollywood. And I just thank God for pouring into me and giving me the conviction to know which way I want to go. Who am I going to choose, right? And not saying that God wouldn't have covered me, but then he removed that choice from me so I didn't even have to deal with it. And so that's another thing that made me decide that I didn't desire Hollywood anymore because I didn't want to be tied up in all of the mess that's there.
Yeah. It can consume you.
Yes.
And if you're not strong, here again, if you're not strong, had it not been for your hiding place,
Yes.
God, that's love. Because rejection is protection, right? So that's love. The love of God protected you so much so that distracted and deferred your interest in it.
Yes.
Because the attention that comes with it, and even the attention that you give it, was not really designed for you.
Right.
Because then there was a web that you could have been easily caught up in, that many people get caught up in because Hollywood will do it. And so I think that's remarkable that you were strong enough to just go and hide it and then to say, okay, at the forefront of everything, even when I don't understand it, I choose God.
Yeah.
I choose God. That's so important. Let me ask you this. Where do you see yourself like in the next 5 years and when I say that, and I know that sounds so cliche and it sounds so job interview, what do you plan to do?
What do you plan to do?
In the next 3 months,
you
in the
save the
90
world.
days?
We'll save the
But what, in the next 5 years, literally, what are you planning? What do you see for your brand, for yourself? Because this is Say Something with Cheré is not just a brand, it's a movement and a ministry.
Right.
So where do you see that? Because nobody knows your vision but your eyes. So where do you see it in the next 5 years?
I still scare myself. I see it being an international household name. And I know people say, talk shows. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna cry.
It's okay. Absolutely.
Talk shows are going out of style. Everybody's doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And I almost believed that until God literally said to me just this week, I don't care what's going out of style. This is what I called you to do, to say something. So I'm going to hold on to Say Something being a household name, a talk show, and it is a movement, and globally to bring people up, other women. I used to didn't want to be around women. And I think it's because of the relationship that I have with my mom, or the non-existing. I didn't trust women, but God has called me to so many women, and I've connected with so many women. And every day I'm grateful for that friendship. And so that is another part of Cheré saying something, of where I come from. And I know that there's healing in transparency.
Yes.
And I know there's healing when you say something. Things change when you say something. And so if I can just keep that movement going and encouraging people that when you say something, there's power in your mouth. There's power in your words. But if you don't say something, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss it, and you're not going to be able to help somebody else. So I just want to hold on to the calling that God gave me, which is to say something, Cheré, and I plan to do it internationally.
I think that is so powerful, Cheré. That is very powerful. It's so much authority in words, right? It's so much power that is connected to our sound, that is designed to come from our lips, right? It's designed to come from our spirit, our soul, our temple, and all of that. And like you said, how could anybody heal from anything, particularly your experience, if you remain silent? So standing basically in agreement with you about Say Something Cheré is a household name. It's not going to be a household name. It is a household name because it's more than just the talk show, right? It's more than just a talk show. It's more than just a podcast. Your show is a healing mechanism that is broadcast virtually to draw people together collectively in their own demographic. That makes sense?
That's it.
That's basically what it is. Because what you're doing is you're connecting people and families. And that's the operation of systems. The operation of systems is connecting people, family, money, all of that, you know?
That's exactly
and so how can you possibly connect people by keeping your mouth shut? You have to say something. And the author and the advocate of saying something and verbalizing your pain, verbalizing your victories, verbalizing your pleasure. All the author of that is world-renowned Cheré.
I receive it.
She wrote her own script. You know what I mean? So when I ask you about acting, do you desire to act again? You will do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from a different position, right?
Yep,
from
absolutely.
a whole different perspective. And this is what I've learned about those that are gifted, people that are gifted with so much. A lot of times, Jonathan McReynolds wrote this song, and I think it's amazing, but it is so true.
Which one?
The lyric says, people are the best thing and the worst thing that God ever created.
Okay, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, people are the best thing and the worst thing.
Sing it for me.
I can't do that.
Just do me a little something.
I don't know.
I'm trying to.
I forgot the word.
You ain't forgot the word.
I forgot how it go. I literally forgot how, but I remember that part.
Okay.
I remember that part. I'll get it to you. If I know how it go, I'll go it. But we'll Google it. But he said people are the worst and the best thing that God ever created, for the purpose of people are very loving. We designed to do all of that, but people can be very manipulative. People can be very discouraging. People can be damaging.
Yes.
And most of the time, when they do it, it's because they said something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And didn't understand the power of their words.
Didn't understand the power of the words.
Whether you meant it or not, the words have impact.
It has
and you
impact.
can't change that.
Absolutely. You cannot change it. That's really powerful. And I know that we could go all day
Oh,
about
my
that. You know,
goodness.
we could go all day. But see, that's a whole nother segment.
That's a whole nother
That's a
segment. 'cause
whole nother segment.
I'm telling you, I know that this segment here, this episode has been highly anticipated. I have tons and tons of messages
Yeah.
about why, and then people just pouring into me. God just told me to tell you that it's time for this. It's time, and I was just like, I know, I hear
Yeah.
y'all, I hear y'all.
Yeah. And that's good. And you just make sure you write down all this stuff because we so hungry for Cherie. We so hungry for Cherie finna get ready to say something. You know, Cherie about to, this apparel, I'm going to get a t-shirt and say, you know, it's so much that we want to know from Cherie. It's like, what's next? What's she going to say next? Because, you know, if it wasn't for you, me and my daughter's relationship probably wouldn't be. You see what I'm saying? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have probably went back to school or something like that. But I said
gosh.
something. And I didn't say something with people around.
Nope.
I said it out loud so I could hear it
That's
myself.
it. That's it. That is it.
Isn't that incredible?
That's it. That's the first step.
That's the first
Saying it
step.
to yourself.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Quickly, how did you feel though? This is good. How did you feel when you actually knew that you was sleeping on your gift?
You know what? I beat myself up a
Yeah.
lot. I beat
Yeah.
myself up really bad because
Do you think it came from comparison?
definitely imposter syndrome. Definitely, I started comparing myself. Now, when I first started to say something, I had no comparison.
Right.
I went in to start a one-person YouTube show. That's what I thought I was doing. And within that week, it turned into all of this, a full-fledged production. So that was the reminder that I've always went back to, how God has shown me He will take it. If you just be faithful over little things, He will give you plenty.
Yeah.
And when God, it's just a reminder that when you just take a little bit, take a step or leave a faith, God's gonna do it all for you. So, but this time when I sat and realized I was sleeping on myself, I felt really bad. I was snapping at people, even my husband. I tried to find other things to control so I could point out what it wasn't or they weren't doing.
Yeah.
Right? And so even my husband, when he came, when we got married, we started a brand together, dancing, and blew up on TikTok and everything. And I found myself always saying, well, you're not making time to do this step, or you're not doing your part. And I had to tell myself, it ain't got nothing to do with him. You're focused on him because you don't have nobody pushing you to do what you're supposed to do, what I called you to do. This is what God was telling me. And I had to sit down and say, you know what, I am sleeping. And I feel like if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. So God is saying, Sheree, if you don't want to do it, let me just go on over here and give it to this person, because they ready. They waiting and ready. They may not be as good as you, but they willing and they're ready.
Right.
While you waiting on perfection. So I woke up after beating myself up, and I said, I was in the shower. I said, this is it. I'm about to stop sleeping on me, and I'm going to give God everything that He put inside of me. Whether it's perfect, whether I got all the money, whether I got all the people, I'm just gonna start it.
Yeah.
And one thing I do is build relationships, and I serve my friends. So when it's time for me to call, I have no problem getting people to help me, because I give and give. And my husband will tell me, my daughter is like, where's she going now? She going to help this person. I'm gonna be there for my friends 100%. I'm gonna be there for the people that God put in my life, because guess what? They turn around and they're there for me. I don't even have to open my mouth sometimes. It's like, what do you need? So when I stopped sleeping on myself, after I beat myself up, I was happy and I was ready. It was just a fire me. I couldn't even sleep. I was up to 2 o'clock in the morning, writing the script, writing out the sessions, praying and said, God, who gonna be on the set? I'm not worried about going after a celebrity. God, who is supposed to be in this
There
script?
you go.
What is this session supposed to be about? And I focused on God, and I will continue to do that. I will let God lead me from here on out.
That is amazing. That's a
Absolutely.
level of obedience that is very, very difficult for people. Because basically what you're doing is trusting the unknown. It's almost
It's
like
scary.
you're walking blindfolded
Yes.
to your purpose. You know, it's just you're walking blindfolded and you don't know. And because we're creatures of habit,
Oh my goodness.
we want to know the next step. We want to know what's next. We want to know how will it unfold.
How will it-
But trusting God, if we get so caught up in that, then you misalign your faith.
Oh my goodness.
And when you misalign your faith, then you can never really see the full purpose of your destiny.
At all.
Or what you have, even, the journey and getting there, because there's lessons along the way that you must
Listen.
learn. Because once you arrive, you got to be able to handle it.
Exactly. So God prepare me. Like, I don't want nothing without God. I know that what God is getting ready to do in Cherie and Say Something is he's going to blow my mind. It's powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
I keep hearing that trend on TikTok. God, you can blow my mind. See, by Tasha.
Yeah, you're about to.
And he said, I'm about to do it. It's
Yeah.
been ringing in my spirit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just,
I'm about to
I'm
do
about,
it.
if you just let go.
Yeah.
If you just let go and trust God, I promise you. And I don't even know what he's about to do, but I feel in my spirit, if I just let go and trust God, it's going to blow my mind.
Listen, I posted this on Facebook some years back. It's very simple. I said, trust God. You got a better idea?
That's it.
Do you have a better idea?
I don't.
Because, I mean, what else? What you gonna do? If you had all the answers, you would have been doing it.
I proved myself wrong over and over again.
Listen, just trust him. Just let go.
Just let it
One thing.
go.
Here's the beautiful thing about trusting God in your gift and with Say Something Cheré. The beautiful thing about it is the promise, not cliche, but the promise that he says, Cheré, listen, it is not coincidental that I caused you to rebirth this brand, right? I made deposits into you to reintroduce the brand to the world.
Yes.
You let me get in that driver's seat and it's over.
Listen.
You know, I believe, it's my belief that your feet and your brand would touch soil that physically you don't even have to be present in. So that's it. I mean, it's so incredible, and I'm so happy. I'm excited. I'm just so excited to be here and to be a part of the whole movement of it all. What I want to know again, I got another question. I got another one.
Oh, now you can sing.
I
Okay. He know those lyrics.
Right. I know that. So let me ask you this real quick. What would you do different, though? What would you do different that you did before with Say Something Cheré this time?
I would trust God wholeheartedly.
Okay.
I would really take myself out of it. And I would, I'm trying to say this nicely.
Oh, say it
Well,
how
why?
you feel.
Because I don't say
Say it
nothing
how
else
you feel.
nicely.
This your show. What you mean?
I can say what I want to say. I would be very careful about who I allow access to this whole project. Yeah.
Jesus. That
Very
is-
careful. Yes. Because
I
people
don't
will
think you
attach
could've said it
themselves.
better.
Yeah. I would be very careful.
Yes.
And I have been. I have been. I'm going to hold my promise to God. I'm going to be careful and I'm
Yep.
going to be a good steward over it.
Absolutely. Listen, this has been, I'm so glad that I was able to be here
I'm so glad
for
you
the
came to do
rebirth
this.
and the reintroduction of
Listen.
Cheré. Listen.
I'm so glad. I don't know if I could have picked a better person to pull that out of me. There's more. There's so much more.
It's
I know we
so
can go
much
on and
more.
on, but I
Oh,
thank
I'll be
you.
back. I want every camera.
I
I'll
trust
be back.
you.
I'll be
I trust him, y'all. I trust him. I trust you.
Yeah, this is incredible. It's an honor for me. It's a pleasure. Anytime you need anything from me, you know I am here. I'm here to support the movement, whether we're in front of the camera or I'm back there in the back. Whatever I need to do to give this some gas and to keep going, you know I'm here. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been absolutely amazing. This is the official rebirth of Say Something with Cheré. We have absolutely heard and absorbed jewels that she has shared, and you take what she has said and stay tuned for the next episode. Cheré, we love you, and give it up for my girl.